everyone, and welcome to I'm the Mama podcast. I'm your host, Ashley L., where we discuss the ins, the outs, and everything in between of being a mom. So, y'all know on each episode, I have to start off with a shout out. And today, my shout out is to you all. You all taking out the time. You know, it's been a big push for me, something that I've always wanted to do in regards to getting this podcast started. And so, I was nervous, but I'm glad that I took that step. Like the support and everything that I've received so far is greatly appreciated. And just being able to scratch off one of my passions and something that I've been wanting to do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all. All right. Now, today I have two special guests with me. I have Shanna as well as Kaneesha. Shanna is a new mom and Kaneesha is a mother of two. And we're going to be talking about how important and vital it is to try to get to a place of good co-parenting. I know that there's been many cases, and co-parenting itself to me just kind of has a bad connotation to it. But there are ways of making it great and beneficial for the household, for the parents, for the kids, right? And so we're going to talk about that today. And so before jumping into it, I do want to discuss some stats that I came across from legaljobs.io. 40% of states in the United States aim to give children equal time with each parent. Now, in addition to that, I got to break it down a little bit more. Reports show that approximately 48.8% of all Black children live in families with their custodial parent, while their non-custodial parent lives outside their household. All right. So let's just go ahead and hop into the topic. Again, I feel like it's something that's so important and so relatable, especially today, right? So I'm going to start off with you, Shanna. What do you consider good co-parenting?
So there are a few things that I consider like good co-parenting. So the first one is like always knowing that the child is priority. You know what I'm saying? Like that's priority. Even like when we have those emotional points or just having a conversation and feeling like you got to go back to the main point that, okay, this is about my child. Like it's bigger than this, it's bigger than that. So then that leads me to like, of course, having good communication, like being able to properly communicate with each other. Because the worst thing you want to feel is like your child goes with the father and you don't hear from your child, you don't talk to your child, because y'all don't have good communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like you just got to wait till your child comes back home. You know what I'm saying? And as a mom, it's like you're a nervous wreck. So You got to be able to have like good communication. Another one is like tough conversations, like being okay with having those hard conversations. And I know for me, like I don't like confrontation, period. So anything that feels like confrontation, like I'm going to shy away from it. I'm going to shut down. So like even being pregnant, like when I was pregnant with my son and stuff like that, and even more so now, like having a co-parenting relationship, it has forced me and taught me, because at the end of the day, like I said, my son is my priority.
Yeah.
So it's taught me like, hey, Shanna, like this conversation may be uncomfortable, but he can't read your mind. Mm-hmm. So you just got to like push through, try to have this, tough conversation, being open-minded in the tough conversations, or just overall in the communication. And then like willing to accept like different perspectives of things, or trying to come to a common ground of those different things. Another one like is like understanding each other's non-negotiables. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like even married couples have non-negotiables. Like, hey, like I don't want the child to do this. Like, and if it's something that makes sense, like, okay, let's agree, So being able to like agree to disagree in a conversation or just with whatever, it just all leads back to having that good communication. And then, like I said before, like understanding each other's non-negotiables. So like an example for me would be, so my son's father, he does not want him to eat pork. beef, is chicken and fish. And that's one of his non-negotiables. And I'm like, okay, like this could be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? So if it makes sense, then hey, like, okay, I understand, you're non-negotiable on this. Like I could work with you on that. So yeah,
I feel you. You said the main thing, like the things that you pointed out is definitely, necessary, whether it's co-parenting or trying to live in one household, because boy, I tell you, those non-negotiables, and again, everything that you touched on was on point, but that non-negotiable, I feel like that's so important. Like my husband and I can tell you, we didn't have that conversation before deciding to have a child. And it probably is something that we should have talked about. Like we would have better understood each other. But hey, we're having those conversations now. And like you said, there are going to be times where we have to compromise. There's going to be times where we agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, even if we agree to disagree, we're going to have to come up with a solution of what are we going to do as a household. So that was great information. What about you, Kaneesha? What do you consider good co-parenting?
Well, Shanna hit it all mostly. But the biggest thing that I could say is taking your emotions out of the situation. Shanna hit all the key points. I'm not going to restate what she said, but taking your emotions out of the situation is the biggest to me. I was married in my situation. So I was married for longer than 8 years. So when you get a divorce and you have 2 kids out of that situation, you have to really like reel yourself back in and be like, this is not my husband anymore, or this is not my wife anymore. Like we are literally changing the dynamic of what we thought would be. And it's not that anymore. So now I have to take, okay, this is the man that I was in love with. This is the man that I had kids with. This is the man that I thought that was my life partner. Let me switch my mindset to co-parenting with him solely. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
And so that is the biggest thing, because in my situation, it has been a lot of rough patches, and that was mainly because emotions took over the situation. So I feel like that's the biggest, when you can really focus that the kids matter. It's all about the kids, and it's not about your personal feelings. It's not about his personal feelings. That's the biggest, healthiest co-parenting, because I feel like after you take that away and you focus on the kids, everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest to me.
Yep. I definitely, again, I'm not in either of your situations, but I can definitely see, again, just like you said, Kaneesha, that being one of the most challenging, if you've been with somebody for a while, like, how do I revert and get back to, all right, I got to step back from you being the one that I love and really, really controlling your emotions. And I'm even trying, again, from a marriage aspect of still not allowing certain things to control my emotions outside of me. So it's just hard regardless. I think something that needs to be taught overall as a person. We have to learn how to control our emotions, but I can definitely see how, when it comes to, you're what I know, you're who I've been with, and we were supposed to do this together. And now, hey, we're still going to do this and we're going to be daggone good at it, but got to take a step back and get my emotions back. So
you do.
Yeah. So Kaneesha, that kind of goes into my next question. Like, as a mother, is it more important for you to have the final say so when it comes to your children?
Let me say this. When we first, yes, it did matter. When we first split up or divorced or whatever, it did matter to me. I think that was like the emotion thing again. Like, oh, I don't want him to have nothing to do. I want to make the decision. But as we have come together to co-parent, it is important for me to let him know, because there are times where I may make decisions, but I can't execute those decisions, or I can't make it to those decisions that I've made. So I need his input so we can come together to strategize the best plan for our kids. So now it's very important for me to inform him on what is going on with our kids because of the age difference, in my children. My daughter may need something that I can't make it to, but I need to go to my son, but their dad can make it to my daughter. So it's important for it to be 50-50 for me because it helps me out. It levels out everything perfectly for me. That way I could be where I need to be. And if I need his assistance, he can be there. He can take the time to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes complete sense. So Shanna, growing up in a 2-parent household, is there anything different that you feel that your son may experience without having, both mommy and daddy in that same household that you may have experienced?
So the answer is yes, but not actually in a bad or a negative way. So like, I feel like even though he won't see his parents living in the house together, right? He will see a good, healthy co-parenting relationship. That's why it's so important for me to be able to have a relationship with his father. Like no matter what, that's like very important to me because I'm like, if we have a healthy relationship, we can have a healthy co-parenting relationship, and that's healthy for Chase, my son. So I also feel like that he will experience, my parents are still living. They have been together for like 40 years. So Chase spends time with them as well. So he will also get to see a healthy marriage or healthy, like mom and dad living in the house together. He'll get to experience that as well. And then, we don't know what the future holds, but his dad may get married and then he will see at his dad's house, like a healthy marriage or whatever the case may be. And then as far as like him seeing the healthy marriage, him seeing the good co-parenting relationship out of the relationships and stuff like that, I feel like he will have double everything. So he'll have double bed, double room. He'd be like, I got a room at my daddy's house. I got a room at my mama's house. I got a playroom at my mom's, a playroom at my dad's. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I kind of look at it on the bright side. Like, hey, look at it like, when as he began to get older and I talk to him and explain to him, because I want him to understand the different dynamics. Because I definitely grew up in a 2-parent household. So like him growing up, but like still knowing that you're okay, you're going to be okay. You're not going to miss a beat. You're going to be just fine. So that's my take on that.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Same as you. My parents have been together for a long time and they're still together. And, I think, amongst every relationship, there is a time period where you kind of think of the what ifs. And just again, as both of you are touching, if the what if, it will be important to me as well as my husband, which we've talked about, of making sure again that he never misses a beat, just like you said, Shanna, if that ever did take place, because that isn't the goal for us, but if it did happen, at least we understand that he's going to be the priority. He's going to be the main focus. And we're going to make sure that we're both contributing to his life, whether others are a part of that or not. But even in addition to that, just again, making the child feel loved. I feel like that's the most important thing, just making sure that the children feel loved amongst the whole thing from both sides. So Kaneesha, I wanted to ask, when speaking about like financing and time, do you feel like it's important that both parents contribute 50-50 for that?
I do feel like that we should contribute 50-50. And I'm so thankful that I have that because, in this day and age, kids are expensive, So I'm just like trying to do it on my own. It's just not going to cut it for me. I feel like, the old folks that I had these kids by myself. So I definitely think that he should contribute time. We have, well, it's the summertime now. So actually, he has our kids for the month of June.
Mm.
If he has an appointment or he has something to do, then he'll bring them to me and he'll come pick them up. So we just kind of coordinate like that every other weekend during the school year. Every other weekend he has the kids. The first, third, and fifth weekend, I believe. So I think it's important because, like you said, the kids have to feel the love. And even though you may not like the person all the time,
Mm-hmm.
or you may not want to be around the person all the time, I always tell people that my kids function in love, they don't function in chaos. And I feel like if we can spend the time, even for instance, my son's birthday is tomorrow. We're spending the weekend with their father because something like that, I don't want to do separate birthdays for my kids. I feel like I could be mature enough and he could be mature enough to get together for our children and celebrate their birthday because they need that equal time. They need that equal love. When it comes to splitting, if I ask him, he'll send it. I feel like that's what's best for my children, just
Right.
to see that mommy and daddy, like Shanna said, mommy and daddy are not together, but mommy and daddy are coming together every single time because they love us.
Yep.
So no matter what they went through personally, they have put that aside to love us, to be there for us. So I think it's so, so important for time and even financial. I feel like financial is, kind of like on the back end, I feel like time is more important than anything. So I do believe it should be 50-50.
No, maturity, like everything that you just said, and the things that I picked up on was maturity, showing the kids that it's about them and that it, regardless of the parents' differences, because I've always looked at it like this. And I know we heard it even when growing up. The kids didn't ask to be here. And so just like you said, Kaneesha, the fact that you all are able to celebrate your child together is such a beautiful thing. And I feel like that's what we need more when we take out these emotions and we are more mature. And I say we, but as far as a community and a society, just so these kids do feel loved and not feel like, oh, I have a broken home.
Mm-hmm.
The broken home is more so, I feel like, because of what the parents are putting out and how the child feels. I feel like if the child is getting love from both sides, again, they're not skipping a beat. They're not missing anything. They're going to feel the love. And then even if there's bonus parents, they'll feel even more love on top of that. So yeah, hopefully we as a community can just engage in more maturity.
It's hard though.
Yeah.
And just speaking on my personal situation growing up, it was just my mom.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I had a stepdad, I had a dad, but I didn't see how to successfully co-parent because my parents didn't successfully co-parent at all.
Yeah.
At all. And my mom gave me the choice at 16, like, do you want to call your dad? And I said no, based off of my lifestyle. I didn't think, and not to negatively speak on my mom, but she didn't really talk about my dad. And if she did talk about my dad, it was negative.
Mm-hmm.
So when the time came for my marriage, like when my marriage was, I knew it was over. I just knew that I didn't want what I went through.
Yeah.
Not to say that we didn't have those times, but I knew that I did not want, my kids love their father. So I knew that I didn't want that because my house was broken. I had a great lifestyle. I had a great life, but my house was broken. Even with a bonus parent, my house was broken. So it's just this cycle of brokenness in my life that I just didn't want my kids to have. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely, again, just paints a bigger picture. And again, I haven't walked in those shoes, but just again, you just wanting a change for your kids, not wanting them to go down that same path. You know, I know they'll forever, as they continue to learn as they get older, they'll be forever grateful for that. So Shayna, I did want to ask, what are some recommendations? You know, I've had a few moms reach out to me. What are some recommendations that you would give to moms who are either debating co-parenting, but they're really afraid of maybe the effects that this may have on their child or children?
So I guess as far as your question goes, I would think they need to first consider or decide what type of environment that they want to allow, that would allow them to be the best moms. That's what I'm trying to say. So by that, I mean, so like, okay, if you're in a relationship, is this relationship kind of like what Kaneesha was saying? Is this healthy for your child to see? Because if it's not, I'd rather you leave, get those emotions under order, you know, in order, heal, co-parent. Because you have some people that, you know, they stay in the home, you're miserable.
Yeah.
You're showing your child it's okay to be miserable. It's okay to stay here and not be okay. And that's not okay. So first, once they figure it out, then going back, so once you get past that point or whatever you decide, knowing that the child again is priority. Another tip is like being on one accord. So when I say like being on one accord, so if Chase's bedtime is 8:30 here, when he goes with his dad, he needs to have the same bedtime. Like that's how, you know, you just keep kids on track. Like even when they're going to school and stuff like that, teachers can tell when they're off track, or they can tell like, hey, whose house has he been at this week? Like, I don't want the teachers to be able to tell what house he was at. That's how on one of accord I need for us to be. I guess I feel like knowing when to allow the man to lead, especially on the son's behalf. So that's another tip. Or even when it's like my turn to lead, because not to say that his dad doesn't value education, he values it, you know what I'm saying? But I might be more of a education, he might be more of a like, oh, I'm address him, you know. But when we put those two together, it works, it's good. Another thing, I think Kaneesha had mentioned it before, was, I think it was Kaneesha or was it Ash? I think it was Kaneesha. But just saying how the child should never know when y'all are mad at each other, when y'all are feuding, when y'all have a disagreement or nothing. Like, you should not talk bad about him or the other parent in front of the child under any circumstance. Because honestly, in reality, at the end of the day, they're still going to be his mom, his or her mom. They're going to love their mom. They're still going to be their dad. They're going to love them unconditionally. So when I was pregnant, I kind of knew within my situation, I was like, okay, this is going to be a co-parenting situation. I've never dealt with this before. You know, I come from a 2-parent household. So I'm like, what can I do? And I guess this is like when people think of like therapy and stuff like that. So I was like, what can I do? So I had a friend share with me a book called Blend. I think her name is Mashonda. She was, I think, Swiss Beats ex-girlfriend. So I got the book. I ended up getting the audiobook. And when I tell you all, between the book Blend and Keep It Classy by Mayetta Shaw, I actually have Classy right here.
I had that book.
Yes. Hey, Kaneesha, girl.
Yes, girl.
So I read both of those books. Blend I read first, and it was just like, she was really, she talks about her heartache and stuff like that, but she really focused in on like, you know, being able to communicate, being able to drop the child off in a civil manner, like, you know, handing the child off, like, hey, being friendly, you know what I'm saying? Not just pulling up, get out the car, get in the car with your daddy, like having that good communication, that good energy to show your child, like, at the end of the day, mommy and daddy gets along. And like, even in the state of what either of you may not have a mate at the time, hey, daddy, come in mommy's house and see my room. you know? So the book even talked about how, like, you know, showing the child how to gift for each parent. So like, hey, it's Father's Day. We're going to go buy your dad a Father's Day gift. Even though your dad does not live with us, he's an excellent father. He's phenomenal. So we're going to go and we're going to give to him just like the dad would take. Son, let's go buy something for your mom. She's a good mom. No emotions or anything extra. It's just showing the child like, your mom's a good mom. I'm a good dad. Just because we didn't decide to be together, but you're going to see this healthy co-parenting situation and you're still going to be whole. You're still going to be okay. So like I said, those two books that I read were just beyond helpful to my journey, because this was something that, you know, I didn't come from. I had never experienced. So I wasn't nervous because I knew at the end of the day, like I said, it was about my son. But at the same time, I'm still like, okay, how should this go? How's it going to go? Yeah. So.
Kaneesha, what about you? What are some recommendations that you would give, you know, to whether it be a mom or a mother and father who are just like, hey, we're not really seeing eye to eye, or we're not happy, or, you know, we just maybe have grown apart and decided or debating on parting ways, but they feel like it may affect their children. What recommendations would you have for them as well?
I would firstly tell them that you don't stay for the kids. When I was young, my mom taught my sister and that do not stay for the kids because you're not benefiting the kids. Yeah. You know, it's not beneficial to them for them to be in a household that is not whole. If kids are growing up in a broken household, and we see this every day in some children, we see it in ourselves, you know, it's not okay. You know, I think it's healthier to just tell that person like, hey, this is not working. Okay, like we keep trying. We on number 10, we on chance number 10. And it's not working because, like Shanna said, these kids go to school. When you have school age kids, you realize how important it is for them to be in a healthy environment. When they're toddlers, you don't really realize it. Toddlers are smart though. I don't ever want anybody to underestimate a toddler, because toddlers can carry stuff as they get older. But when you have school-age children, it is important. And I say that because when my daughter was in school, there were things that were affecting my daughter. You know, every day she was acting out, you know, and a part of me had to say, okay, get uncomfortable because you're too comfortable. And when you're too comfortable, you tend to stay in situations that don't benefit you or the children or the child. So when you can tell yourself, when you can take accountability that, hey, this situation is toxic, this situation is not working. And I love this person, I love this man, I love this woman, but it's not working. And it's better for us to try to be friends than to try to keep trying to make something that is broken work, so that we can show our kids like we didn't work, but we love each other, but we're gonna work for y'all with co-parenting. Like we're gonna make it work for y'all for co-parenting. We're not gonna be together, but we're gonna make it work. And I will also tell everybody to heal. Healing is so important. I know, Ashley, you have seen my journey. Healing is so important to healthy co-parenting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're holding on to hurt, you say so many things that you don't mean. Like, oh, I don't want him here. I don't want him a part of anything, or her, vice versa. When you really take some time and work on your flaws and start taking accountability for the things that you contribute to the toxic situation, and you forgive is so important. Because sometimes we dwell on things that happen. Oh, this happened during my pregnancy, or this happened during my marriage, or this happened during the situation. When you learn to forgive and you learn to heal, and you really heal, you know, you take that time away and you heal and you pray and you ask God to help you with your situation. it just makes for a better co-parenting situation. Because when you're trying to co-parent and you're unhealed and you still like every little thing that that person does triggers you,
yeah,
it's still like you're in the same house. And it's still like you're just teaching your kids like, oh, I'm finna yell at my husband or I'm finna yell at my wife, you know, because this is what my parents are doing.
yeah,
So, and that could have been me.
yeah.
That could have been me. And again, I'm not going to say that we haven't had arguments because we had, you know, but again, healing is so important to this journey because co-parenting is tough. Co-parenting is so tough. It's like, as soon as my kids leave, I want them back. Like, give me my kids back. So, you know, it's so important to forgive and heal the person that you have kids with if you are in that space. And then you just have to get in the mindset of, again, the kids are, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
My feelings don't matter. As long as my kids are happy and as long as my kids are loved and they see that mommy and daddy, we live separately, but there's no love lost. Like Shanna said, I got two beds. I got a bed here. I got a bed there. When I go to daddy house, for example, my son, my Spider-Man is there. When I go to my mommy's house, I still have Spider-Man. You know, my daughter, I have my art supplies. When I go to daddy's house, I have, you know, that's what makes everything worthwhile. That's what makes communication. That's what makes the sacrifices. That's what makes everything worthwhile, just to see that your kids still feel love in separation, you know. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, that let me just to both of y'all, because them nuggets right there. Look, Shayna talking about the importance of, you know, again, just even breaking it down to at school, like not having people in your business, you know, for nobody to even really know, because again, nothing is being missed from the kid. The kid is happy. The kid is smiling. You wouldn't even be able to tell. But even in regards to, like y'all both were saying, just holding each other accountable, you know, forgiving if that is needed, then forgiving and healing. And so, yeah, I mean, all of those things just have to take place. Those are amazing recommendations from the both of you all. And again, that could be something that, look, I know this show is for the mamas, but I hope the daddies watch, and I hope that prior generations, they need to watch this too. Look, because they can learn some things as well, because there are, you know, just generational, I hate to call them generational curses, but in a sense, generational curses that all it takes is
that's
just
what they
that
are.
one. Yeah, just to take that one to show something different of this can actually work. It takes us both maturing up, leveling up, and making it happen. And so, yeah, definitely great insight from the both of you all. And I want to thank you all both for just, for one, being transparent about your experiences, and then secondly, taking out the time to come and just speak on the show and just being informative, just informing others that could definitely learn from this. So thank you both. I do want to go over 6 signs of healthy co-parenting. So I think these ladies touched on all of them, but I just want to reiterate, you know, the kid comes first. And what this does is it allows both parents to do best for their child. The second is going to be that the parents agree on major issues such as discipline as well as health. The next one is going to be flexibility is allowed. Having some flexibility is healthy for the children. Also, make sure that respect is shown. It is important to be nice to one another in front of the child. Keeping in mind, kids get time with both parents, not just one, but both parents. And when this doesn't take place, the child is the one being punished and will suffer. Again, this was talked about within this show, making sure that you know, make sure that your child spends time with both. And then lastly, communication is key. Open line of communication is going to be vital, especially when you're not under one roof. Again, both of these ladies touched on the importance of that. But just being able to communicate about anything. At this point, nothing should really be held from each other, because again, this is you all's child, and it's for the betterment of the child. And so I feel like this is an amazing topic that we could keep going on and on and on, keep talking about, because there's so much things that can be discovered and discussed with it. But we do have to end the show for the day. But y'all know I'm not going to leave without going over inspirational quote of the day. And it's: successful mothers are not the ones that never struggle. They are the ones that never give up despite the struggle. And so that's by Sharon James. And so I just want to give love to both of you ladies, because again, despite any struggles that you all go through, you all are still going strong, showing your babies that, look, I'm the mama, I'm doing this, but we got an amazing daddy that we're doing it together. So kudos to you all. And for the listeners, just want to thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out all the other episodes. This is the final episode of season 1. Woohoo! We got done with season 1. But be sure that, you can always go back and listen to the content. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, share, comment. Again, be sure to share, because you never know who is in need of hearing this information, So be sure to send off the information. I look forward to tuning in next season as we come into season 2. We're going to be discussing even more hot topics on motherhood and everything that comes along with the beautiness of being a mom. So as always, be sure to keep your head up, because your little one is watching and always admiring you, and continue to take care. Until next time, this is I'm the Mama Podcast, Ashley L., and have a great one.